Hey, this is Evan Mark Katz, dating and relationship coach for smart, strong, successful women, your personal trainer for love. Welcome back to the Love You podcast, where we talk about everything you need to know about dating, relationships, sex, and men from a man's point of view to help you understand men, make better dating and relationship choices, to raise your standards for relationships, to get happy. That's why we do this. And it's fun. And today we're cranking out a very special episode. I was moved. I don't do special bonus episodes very often, but the timing seemed right because there is a TV show that is being pushed heavily on Netflix. It is called Nobody Wants This. And I have thoughts. I thought you might like to hear my thoughts on this show. If you haven't watched this show, there will be spoilers. This won't mean very much to you. You could just tune into the next episode. But if you did watch this show, I encourage you to stick around. If you enjoy the Love You podcast, we usually don't do TV recaps. Please share this with a friend. Like us on Spotify. Subscribe to us on Apple. Leave us a positive review. It's been a couple days since we've gotten a nice positive review, so would love to hear something nice from you if you're a regular listener. We do this for free. So here's the deal with this show. I have a couple notes, but mostly, I'm going to kind of speak from the heart. It's a 10-episode Netflix series. They're bingeable. The most bingeable, 22 minutes in and out. So it's hard not to watch multiple episodes in a row and get through the whole series in certainly less than a week. So it's a very bingeable show, and it's a romantic comedy sitcom. Something that you don't see too often. It feels like it could have been a movie, but they turned it into a 10-episode series. It's not obvious whether they should come back for another season or not, but there was something that was really delightful about it. It was really smart dialogue. Before I get into that, let's start with the negative points, because there's been I wouldn't call it a media thunderstorm. It's not like there was anything wildly controversial about it, but because I found myself so interested in this show, I wanted to explain the premise. The premise is there's this rabbi who's played by Adam Brody, and he's 40 to 45, and he's cute and never married, and set to take over the temple that he's a rabbi at, but he's a cool, chill rabbi. And then there's Kristen Bell, who is this also early 40s, attractive, does a podcast where she talks about her sex life and the bad decisions she makes. And she does this podcast with her sister. And that's kind of all you need to know. And they meet cute, and the complications of being in a new interfaith relationship ensue. And so the negatives are that the show's lightweight, right? Like it is, but that's the nature of a comedy. Like you don't really go for the drama part of the comedy. There's conflict, but it's everything's resolved really easily. There's some negative stereotypes of Jewish people. I get the sense that this was made very lovingly by Jewish people. I have some friends, including a rabbi, who didn't like it very much. There was a woman who writes for the New York Times named Jessica Gross, who I admire a lot. She also said the same thing about the stereotypes of the Jewish women, all very controlling and negative. And as, again, a person who's secular Jewish, I could understand why one would be bothered by that, and also say there's some truth to stereotypes. Any stereotype, it's not just made up out of whole cloth. And so I didn't find it as offensive as perhaps other people did. But in comedy, it's hard to make fun of anything if you don't take any shots at anybody. So as a former comedy writer, I wasn't bothered by this. The reason I'm talking about this are the positives of this show, which is why I really think that if you haven't watched it, you should watch it, and you can stop before I give anything away. It's pretty realistic. It's modern, right? It's dealing with swiping and dating apps and things like that. And most importantly, the reason we're doing this emergency episode today is that it introduces or reinforces some of the concepts that we regularly talk about on this podcast and in my coaching and in my Love You course. And I wanted to share them with you because you could see this written for these characters. And it was almost like it was beat by beat. yeah, this is how a secure person would handle this. Yeah, this is how an anxious attachment style person would handle this. So I'm just going to pull out a few bullets that I thought were really interesting if you watch this show, if you're into relationships. And these are your dating and relationship takeaways. So, number one, games beget games. So the Kristen Bell character, Joanne, she has a podcast that she does with her sister named Morgan. And the whole thing is based on very questionable dating choices and a lot of game playing, right? Through social media, through texting, right? Showing up at different places unannounced, signaling to him, based on what you're wearing. It seemed really exhausting to have to go through your love life thinking of everything as some sort of game. And here's the thing. Games don't generally work that well on secure people. Secure people have a low tolerance for games. I'll make up an example that has nothing to do with the show. If I had a great date with someone on a Saturday night and I called her on Sunday, I said, I had a wonderful time with you. I can't wait to see you again. If she waited 3 days to call me because she doesn't want to seem too needy, that's only going to lower her esteem in my eyes. That's not going to make me think, oh my God, she's such a high value woman. She's so busy, right? I'm going to think, what the hell? We had a really good connection. Why is it so hard for you to return my text? So that's an example of what these characters do so expertly in this. They've turned it into a science that they talk about it on their podcast. And the reason, I found the show really entertaining is that there are people who do that. There's dating influencers out there who will tell you all the ways to play games with men and manipulate men. And the truth is, that's all inauthentic. It's not based on something that's going to last. If you have to trick a guy into dating you, I think that's going to be short-lived. And to the show creators' credit, it was obvious that she was the problem in this dynamic. She was creating her own problems, in other words. So they weren't saying it as a good thing. They were saying it as, well, this is a thing that women in the modern era do a lot. Second, insecurity begets problems. It's not that too far from games beget problems. But in this TV show, you've got Kristen Bell, who's cyber stalking Adam Brody's ex, actually stalking his ex, creating in-person confrontations with her, finding these excuses to meet her, digging through his cabinets to find that there's a box of stuff and memorabilia that he's collected from his time with her because he's been dating her for 2 or 3 years before he meets her. And so, yes, these are the things that sitcoms and movie plots are made of. When you need to have something happen, someone has to lie or make a bad choice in order to propel the plot. But these are all kind of normal examples of things that people do out of an abundance of insecurity when you're not feeling like the CEO of your love life, right? When you're used to guys who are players or liars or have an avoidant attachment style, you think these are all things that you must do to get to the bottom of it and solve this guy like he's an equation. When in fact, when you're with a guy who's interested in you, who has a secure attachment style, you don't have to, none of these games are useful. None of these questions are useful. He's just going to keep on showing up as this Adam Brody character shows. And so, third point that struck me when watching Nobody Wants This, and Nobody Wants This refers to nobody wants the, I forgot the terminology. I was going to say interracial. It's not interracial. The mixed marriage of Christians and Jews. And obviously, I haven't talked much about myself, but I have a vested interest in that, given that I am Jewish and my wife is Catholic, and that all of my cousins and all of my college friends are Jewish and also married Catholic women. I had a vested interest in this show from a personal level. So, third bullet point, anxiety, right, is more of a symbol of an activated attachment style. It is not love. Going on this emotional roller coaster, we associate, right, anxiety with love. And the thing with this Adam Brody character, this rabbi, is that he's a really solid guy. If anything, part of the flaw of his character is that he's so good. We really don't see too many flaws on his part, but that's the thing. She's so used to guys who aren't what they seem. She spends her time dissecting this guy and trying to undermine the relationship, right? She's finding flaws with him, right? Even though if you're watching the show, there's really nothing that leaps out as, oh my God, you got to run from this guy. So he's cute and he's charming and he's interested in her, but his biggest flaws are that he's earnest, right? He's a rabbi. He helps people. He speaks in parables and quotes and all that kind of stuff. So he's a little earnest, but that probably comes with the territory. He wants to impress her parents, and he comes on a little strong and a little cheesy to the first time he meets her parents, and she gets what she calls the Ick Factor, right? The ick is apparently a guy who's acting cheesy, but nice, not being a jerk. And he's completely devoted to her, and this scares the hell out of her. And so she tries to find ways to pull away and pull away and pull away the entire show. And so the moment of the entire series, big spoiler alert, this might be episode 9 or 10, so it's towards the end, right? This is after she's expressed all of her doubts and kind of spun out, and he just tells her, you're self-sabotaging, and I'm not going to let you. I can handle you. And that is the moment where presumably women's hearts melt, because that's what a woman who's watching this is feeling. Is I have been led to feel from my previous relationships that I'm a lot and that men can't handle my emotions. To me, it often says something about those men. But I've been told I'm a lot, men can't handle my emotions. And I think what women want to hear is, yes, I can handle you. I see what you're doing. I love you in spite of that. I'm going to be here for you. Please don't pull away. And I've been that guy before my wife, who's very secure and we have an easy relationship. And I've referred to a special girlfriend that I had once upon a time who just kept on breaking up with me. Even though I was devoted to her, would never cheat on her, thought she was super cool. She was a great relationship, but she wasn't used to guys like me, whatever that meant. I'm not saying that she was wrong for breaking up with me 3 times, but I do remember what it was like to really just sort of hold on tight and not fully understand, why are you messing with a good thing? There isn't really a problem here. And when people have tortured pasts with fathers who abandoned them, or mothers who were verbally abusive, or exes who set a pattern, a lower bar for what they come to expect from relationships, it's very easy to think that the next thing is going to work just like the last thing. So as a Jewish guy, not particularly Jewish, although I'm wearing this thing, I forgot I was wearing this thing for the entire podcast. I was doing it for the thumbnail. But as a Jewish guy, that's funny, with a secure attachment style, who my whole job is trying to make sure women don't get in their own way and they could find some menschy guy, menschy means nice, who's going to love you unconditionally, take care of you, be there for you, and handle you. I wholeheartedly endorse this little Netflix sitcom that you can binge. And I want you not to watch this show for my sake, but to continue to listen to this podcast, because sometimes it's easy to forget, right? In the swiping and the texting and the hookup culture and the rejection and the disappointment and the loneliness, that there is a great guy out there who's waiting for you. You just don't know where he is. You don't know how to find him. And that's what my job is to show you the way, to light the path, to make sure that this thing that you're feeling right now is a temporary thing and that you can get the love that you deserve. In that spirit, I'm just announcing that I created something new. I'm not even sure if it's up. I think it's up by now. It is called, it's a mini course. And I basically took some core concepts from Love You, made some videos about it, and walk you through a 7-step course that should hopefully enlighten you and excite you and give you hope and give you direction. It is called Raise Your Relationship Standards, 7 Simple Steps to Finding a Quality, Commitment-Oriented Man. So how does that sound? to raise your relationship standards and find a quality, commitment-oriented man. If you like the way that sounds, go to www.evanmarckatz.com/7 steps. That's the number 7 steps. And put in your name and email address. We'll send you those videos, and I hope you enjoy it. It's free. At least it's free for now. So take advantage of that opportunity. My name is Evan Mark Katz. This is the Love You Podcast. Sorry if I was a little all over the place. It's not the way I normally do a podcast because I'm talking about a TV show, not about a dating topic specifically. But I did think this is one of the rare shows that made me want to talk about dating. I generally avoid TV shows about dating for a reason. If you enjoyed today's podcast, go to Apple, go to Spotify, leave us a positive review, and make sure you go to evanmarckatz.com/7 steps to take advantage of this free gift. I'll see you back here in a few days for our next Love You podcast. Bye-bye.